Times are getting hard. If you just got laid off today, last week, 3 weeks ago, hell, 5 years ago, I'm here to remind you that a job is not your identity. I got laid off 3 years ago from a job search company. Yes, I know getting laid off from a job that helps people get jobs is really ironic, but I ended up making the best out of it. I will never forget that day. That was the first day I ever got laid off from a job. And to be honest, I didn't know what to think. I was so heavily career oriented. I didn't have a college degree. All I had was 10 years of corporate experience working in customer service. And then I ended in client success management. I'm going to say my experience was my degree. I worked my way up into getting a role where I no longer had to be on the phone. I was making a decent amount of money. I think I was making like $25 an hour. Me, myself, and I, no kids, no spouse or anything. I was doing pretty damn good. But I got too comfortable in my position. I'm thinking this is going to be the end all be all. And I did not have a backup plan. I literally just got comfortable in that position. It was so easy. It was remote. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. Very little to no micromanaging. And I also got to choose my schedule. And it allowed me the freedom of time to travel and still be able to bring my job with me. So if I wanted to, I could have gone to New York and worked remotely from a hotel if I wanted to, which is so cool because the jobs that I had before then would not let me do that. I was always tethered to a damn computer with a headset answering phone calls. Hi, thank you for calling X, Y, and Z. My name is X, Y, and Z. How can I help you? I feel like my last job prepared me for the position that I'm in as an entrepreneur. I met some great people there. I learned a lot of great practices. I learned what SEO was at that job, y'all. Search engine optimization and metadata. I had no idea what I was doing there until I really got like neck deep into the work. The position I was in actually helped me understand how algorithms work because the platform that I was working for was a search engine. I will never forget, I literally got canned on Black Friday. Now that I think about it, I think they gave me the boot on Black Friday, which is so messed up. And on top of that, y'all, I was doing good. I was exceeding my KPIs, which are called key performance indicators, and I was exceeding them on all fronts. Yet I was the first one to get let go. And to me, that reminded me that in a lot of positions out here, you are just a number. You are just another cog in the mesh helping the clock turn. And I did build up a little bit of resentment, I'm not gonna lie, because like I was literally doing everything y'all wanted me to do. And out of all the people that were there, I was one of the first to let go. When I got laid off, I vividly remember being downstairs having lunch with my grandma. And then I got an email that said, due to a decline in business needs, we all know what that means. So once I saw that email and I read that my assignment would be ending, keep in mind, y'all, I was there for like a few years. Once I read that my assignment was ending, my appetite just completely vanished. I was eating one of my favorite meals. So I went, put my food up, and me and my grandma were in the middle of having a conversation. And we were just happy, just like smiling. And my whole mood just went like this. I went upstairs and I sat in my room and I sat on the corner of the bed, like on the edge, just like what just happened. I remember staring at the corner of the ceiling. I don't know why, whenever I talk to God, I stare at the corner of the ceiling. I have no idea why I do that, but I was staring at the corner of the ceiling and I'm asking God, are you punishing me? Or are you preparing me for something bigger, like beyond my understanding? And after that, I just kind of stuck with the plan and I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and let me accept this. Let me accept what is about to come to me. And this is in the midst of my TikTok taking off too. Like at this time, I had just touched 10K followers on TikTok. I didn't have another job lined up. It was already hard enough to get jobs considering people were getting let go and people were dropping like flies. I'm over here looking all over Indeed. Keep in mind, this is the company that just let me go. But I'm looking all over Indeed. I'm looking on Glassdoor. I'm looking on LinkedIn for positions and nobody's hiring. Like it's a complete drought out here. The first thing going through my head is how the hell am I going to pay my rent? By the grace of God, I was earning commission on TikTok. So whatever money I was making in commission from the wigs I was reviewing, I saved that and I kind of put that towards my bills. Then I filed for unemployment because I literally didn't have a job. And I noticed something too, y'all. I was always trying to figure out how people were traveling without jobs. Y'all were using unemployment checks to travel. After I got laid off, there was this PTSD phase of not clocking in. Nobody really talks about how after you get laid off, you kind of have a little PTSD behind it. Like, there are days where I would wake up like, oh my God, I didn't clock in. I'm about to be late. And then it would dawn on me, oh, bitch, you don't have a job. What made me realize that a job is not a part of my identity was me waking up every morning after I got laid off with PTSD of, oh my God, I did not clock in today. And then I went and laid back down and enjoyed the remainder of my sleep. And I know there are some people who can't sleep at night because all that's on the back of their mind is, I need to find a job, I need to find a job, I need to find a job. There are times where you really need to take a break. I really started to enjoy that additional sleep. And then it got to the point where I'm waking up happier. I'm still looking for a job, but a part of me is like, I can breathe. The job had me in a chokehold. Like, I was shackled to that job and I loved it so much. I didn't cry when I got laid off, but I felt a sense of relief when I got laid off. It's almost like I'm holding on to something that I really don't need to be holding on to. So after I got laid off, I started looking for other jobs. And lo and behold, here's another ironic part too, y'all. Um, I ended up getting rehired at my very first job. Like, it's so crazy. The timing and the age, it was like 10 years apart. I was 18 when I first got that job, and I was 28 when I got rehired, which is so crazy. It was on the phone, it was customer service. And I went back home to Houston working this new customer service job, and I just felt so out of my element. I will never forget being in my room with my setup on the phone, and this lady is just cussing me out with her Jamaican accent. And I'm sitting here looking out the window, tethered to a computer when I wasn't for 3 years. And I was like, yeah, this is not what I want to do with the rest of my life. And a tear came down my cheek. And that was the moment I said, I don't want to work for anybody. I would find all kinds of reasons to not go in. Like, I didn't have another job lined up at all. I did not have another job lined up. And I really just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm about to just wing it on TikTok. I'm about to go full time with TikTok. My people were like, how are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to pay your health care? How are you going to pay your phone bill? I said, I'm going to do TikTok full time. And they trusted the process, which I really appreciate them for believing in me, because now I'm making a 6-figure income as a content creator and as a business owner on TikTok Shop and on my e-commerce platform, Shopify. I now have the freedom to go where I want to go, buy the things I want to buy, and enjoy life. I feel like I'm breathing, I'm happier. When you're stuck in the mindset of a job is your identity, you are constantly feeding the need. I have to work for somebody. I have to work for somebody. I have to work for somebody. When your focus really should be, how can I work for myself and also get the freedom of time to enjoy life? And I felt like when I was working for a company, I was literally giving them majority of myself. Then I was getting to enjoy myself. And I don't feel like we were put on this earth to work for other people and make other people and corporations richer. We can get into that in a different video, but that's just how I feel. When I was working at that job, I felt like I was climbing the ladder to success only to get kicked down when I was at the top of my A game. I was taking on a big workload with my coworkers. Some people didn't want to do certain parts of their jobs. I'm not going to say who, but there were people who just did not want to do their job. And I loved the job so much that I would step in and take over for them. There were times where my manager had to tell me to not stay late, even if it was unpaid, because I wanted to catch up on work. I wanted to catch up on work and wanted to get some stuff done. That way, when we come in the next morning, it wouldn't be a hassle to get it knocked out. Getting the boot after putting in so much freaking work is such a huge slap in the face. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like a little resentful to the point where I said, y'all not getting this MacBook back. Of course, I'm going to send it back because I can't do nothing with it. But like, it was to the point where I was like, y'all not getting this MacBook back. Y'all fired me. Y'all got to figure out how y'all gonna get this back, or take that L. I'm taking L's. Y'all gonna take one too. What I loved is how my coworkers looked for me on Facebook and reached out to me and messaged me. Keep in mind, y'all, we were never friends on Facebook. Me and a few of my coworkers, they messaged me on Facebook and they said when they called your name and said that you would no longer be here, I was shocked. What sucks is my manager and I had a one-on-one meeting like the last day that I was working, and they were smiling in my face. My manager knew the whole time that I was going to get let go, and we were in that one-on-one and he was just smiling like nothing was about to happen. And to me, I feel like that was foul. Like, you didn't have to smile in my face. You could have kept a straight face. I wish he would have prepared me. I really feel like had I been prepared, I would have taken it easy, but they knew about me getting laid off. These corporations are very calculated, and I learned that working at AT&T when COVID was announced. We have to stop making jobs our identities. If you were to pass away, they would replace you instantaneously with no thought about it. 9 times out of 10, they're going to have somebody close to you pick up the slack until they can get someone to fill in your seat. You are just a number. You are expendable. We are living in the days of the haves and the have-nots. There will not be high class, middle class, low class. You will either have it or you won't. And if you don't believe me, look at the job market. I highly encourage people to take content creation serious since we are in the digital era, and I honestly feel like we're just scratching the surface. We're not fully immersed in the digital era like we will be. A lot of jobs and a lot of positions are going digital. Content creators are making a lot of money online because we are entering that digital era. Content creation is my full-time job. I took the money I made reviewing products and I invested that into upgrading my camera equipment. Once I invested that into upgrading the camera equipment, the quality of my videos improved and other doors for opportunities started to open, to the point where I was working with brands and collaborating with companies reviewing their products. Ever since I started doing content creation full time, I started seeing more money than I've ever seen in my life. I started seeing 6 figures from it. And once I started seeing those 6 figures, I took some of that money and I invested it into inventory to start a business. I got my EIN, my LLC. I don't even need a business loan because I was able to bootstrap my business from the ground up. And ever since I have been out of that job, I feel like I am breathing, I am living, I am enjoying life. When I had that job, I was in survival mode. And then when I started working for myself, I immediately got into living mode. When you get off of that rat wheel, it's like a whole new world. It's like life is so different on the other side. When you start working for yourself, there's a possibility that you could make more money working for yourself than you would if you were to work for someone else, like a corporate company. You do need to find balance, and you also need to separate who you are as an individual from who you are working for. If you work for a corporate company, do not center your life around that entire corporate company. I think that's all we have today.